Hi, my name is Serafina. Before we jump into today's story, please like and subscribe to Luna Avatar. My first memory of Mom is her voice singing lullabies to me every night. It was the most beautiful sound in the world. Mainly because the moment she stopped, I'd start screaming again. By the time I was 16 months old, I could hum every lullaby perfectly. My dad, a piano genius, taught me beautiful notes and how to put them together, and I was totally obsessed with it. On Dad's 30th birthday, there was a grand celebration at our mansion. Right after everyone started toasting, I climbed up on a table and began singing the birthday song. Suddenly, the whole room went silent, ready to take in my first performance.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
When I finished, I realized my voice could make a grown man cry.
Oh my God, that's exactly the voice of an angel.
I always had a feeling Serafina was gifted. I'm so proud of you, darling.
Right after that, my parents hired the best musicians in the city to coach me in vocals and music theory. At every party my parents and their friends hosted, they'd invite me to perform, and they even paid me for it. My life was perfect. Until one day, everything changed. When I was in the second grade, my dad had just returned from meeting with some partners overseas. I froze when I saw a little girl with sad eyes, holding a stuffed bunny, step out of the car too. She was trying to hide behind Dad, but he gently pushed her forward.
This is Annabelle, Serafina. She's your sister, and she'll be living with our family now. Will you take care of her?
I looked into her scared, dark eyes and immediately took her hand. Always! But from the moment Annabelle showed up, a dark shadow, like the dress she wore, was cast over our happy home. It started with a huge fight between my parents that evening, and both of us overheard it.
You've broken my heart. She reminds me of my worst nightmare, and I have to see it every day. She can't stay here. I won't raise a child that isn't mine.
She has nowhere to go. Her mother's gone. I know you hate me right now, but please don't take it out on her. She's just a kid.
I didn't want Annabelle to hear this, so I said, "Come on, I'll play something for you. What's your favorite song?" I didn't fully understand what was happening, but one thing was clear. Mom hated Annabelle. She ignored her like there wasn't any child in the house besides me. But my dad and I were different. We adored her. Maybe it was because I could see the sadness and loneliness in my sister's eyes, and we more than made up for Mom's ice-cold attitude. But in the 8th grade, we got news one day that made our whole world come crashing down. Dad had been in a terrible car accident, and he was gone. We were all devastated, but Mom just shut herself up in her room for weeks. One night, while I was reading a Snow White story to Annabelle, Mom suddenly burst into the room and started yelling.
What are you doing in my daughter's room? You're just a poor maid.
Mom, are you okay? She's not a maid, this is Annabelle, remember?
Yes, Annabelle. How could I forget her? Everything got worse when she showed up. No, everything is exactly her fault.
I stared in horror at Mom as Annabelle started to cry.
Pack your things first thing in the morning, Annabelle. Are you planning to sleep with this filthy maid tonight?
What? No, she's not going anywhere. Dad said she's my sister.
Either she goes to the maids or the orphanage. This is her last night here.
As Mom was leaving, she suddenly pounced at Isabel, grabbed her stuffed bunny, and threw it in the fire.
No, my mom made that.
Annabelle cried for hours and I hugged her to sleep. What had happened to my mom? The very next day, Annabelle had to move to the maids' quarters despite my strong protests. She was still allowed to go to school, but she had to do house chores in her free time. I was scared she'd be sent away, so I stopped fighting with Mom, but I'd sneak food to her and help her with her homework at night. At school, we could always hang out together. But one day, I started trembling when I saw my mom show up at school, heading straight to the principal's office. Oh my God! Maybe my worst fear was about to come true. Mom, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm here to withdraw Annabelle from school, of course.
You can't do that! She has to go to school!
Why? She's never going to be anything but a maid like her stupid mother. Education is a complete waste on someone whose future is just sweeping floors and cleaning rooms.
As she turned around, I grabbed Mom's wrist. If you make her drop out of school, I will too, and I'll tell everyone why. Are you sure you want everyone to know how you really treat Annabelle? Mom, Dad would be so disappointed in you. Mom looked shocked, then angrily pulled her arm away and left I'd won this little battle. But God knows what she'd do next. Things weren't great at home, but at least I had Eric. He was my boyfriend for 2 years and was just crazy about my voice one evening when I was on a date with him. I suddenly started getting calls from Annabelle.
Come home right now. Serafina!
I ran home to a scene of complete chaos. Mom was tearing apart Annabelle's room. What's going on?
Your dad's watch is missing, and I'm going to search all the maids' rooms, and when I find it, I'm kicking out the thief for good.
Just then, a servant came from another room saying it was under Mom's personal maid's bed. Mom looked completely shocked to find out it was her, but she threw her bags out instantly. Some days later, it was Annabelle's 13th birthday, and I snuck into her room with a cake when she blew the candles out. I asked her what she'd wished for.
I wished your mom was dead.
Annabelle, you don't mean that? She's my mom. Annabelle stayed silent, and I got up to leave. I'd never seen that look of hatred on my little sister's face before. In the middle of all this drama, I had a huge audition coming up. A prestigious music academy was looking for talent from different schools, and being selected would be a dream. But 5 days before the audition, I woke up with my throat hurting. I called out to the maid, but to my horror, my voice was gone. Mom rushed me to the doctor who diagnosed me with laryngitis. What he said next left me shocked.
Your voice will return to normal soon, but this is the end of your singing. If you strain your vocal cords too much, you could lose your voice permanently.
I just couldn't believe it. On the day of the auditions, I slipped into the auditorium with Eric, feeling devastated. I wanted to be up on that stage more than anything. And then one of the judges said,
The last performer is Miss Annabelle.
"Wait, what?" Annabelle stepped onto the stage and started singing.
Don't know what you wanna achieve, but make a
I was stunned. Her voice was beautiful. The judges gave her a standing ovation and said they'd be in touch with her. Soon as everyone started to leave, I caught up with her. "Annabelle, that was amazing. But why didn't you tell me you could ever sing like that?" She brushed my arm off angrily, her eyes blazing.
You never asked. You just assumed that you're the only one with any talent. But I guess that's something we both got from our father. It makes you unhappy, doesn't it?
Why would you say that? I've always had your back, Annabelle.
Yet I've been living as a maid in my dad's house for years, and you did nothing. You think sneaking me food makes up for how I'm treated? No, it doesn't. All it does is make you feel good about yourself.
Annabelle, I tried.
Oh, nice try. I hate you, Serafina.
As she stormed off, I felt heartbroken. As Eric walked me back home that evening, suddenly, a skateboarder came charging straight at him. I pushed Eric out of the way just in time, but he landed on the pavement, hitting his head. I quickly called an ambulance, and after hours of waiting at the hospital, we were shocked to get the news Eric was in a coma. The doctors were hopeful he'd wake up soon, but weeks turned into months, and before I knew it, a year had passed. I was almost done with high school, and Annabelle was in her music academy on full scholarship, but we never spoke anymore. One day when I went to see Eric, I was shocked to see him sitting up in bed. "Oh my God, you're awake!" He gently pushed me away.
I'm sorry, who are you?
"Eric, it's me, Serafina, your girlfriend."
Can you sing?
Yes, well, I used to, but then I got sick and had to stop, remember?
No! I just know that my girlfriend sings beautifully. I couldn't move or see all these months, but she'd talk and sing to me often, and I could hear her. I know her voice, and it's not you.
Suddenly, my blood ran cold when I heard someone behind me.
Babe, that was me. You could hear me?
"Annabelle?"
Yes, it's you!
She ran forward and hugged him, and then they kissed. Suddenly, I just lost it. I pulled Annabelle by her hair. "Are you completely crazy? You've been visiting my boyfriend and singing to him. Tell him you're lying."
I am not. He's mine. Let me go, witch.
And suddenly she pushed me viciously and I went flying into a trolley. I attacked her and we went crashing straight into the machines. And the next thing we knew, we were both thrown out of the hospital. I turned furiously to Annabelle. "We're done for good. You become a hateful monster. I don't even know who you are anymore. But you're definitely not my sister. Finally!" And with that, she left. I went on a very long walk to clear my head. And by the time I got home, Annabelle was gone. The next morning, Mom discovered a lot of things were gone too, including Dad's watch.
Heck, am going to report her to the police. Am going to.
Mom, just stop it. She's gone. That's what you wanted since you first saw her, right? And so what if she took Dad's stuff? It's hers too. Let it freaking go. A year later, I went off to university to study music. If I couldn't sing anymore, I could still play in my final year. I was leaving the campus one day when I stepped on a newspaper. It had Eric and Annabelle's face on the front page with the headline "Billionaire to tie knot in 2 weeks." Well, good for them. But just a few days later, I walked into a coffee shop. And to my shock, I saw Eric there. And he was kissing a blonde girl. That definitely wasn't Annabelle. I just walked away. It wasn't my problem, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. And when her wedding day arrived, I just could not do anything. Even if she hated me, she was my freaking little sister. And that's how I found myself bursting into the church and running like crazy down the aisle. Hold it! This wedding can't happen! As Annabelle turned to look at me in horror, I ran straight at her and hugged her. I held onto her tight as she squirmed and shrieked.
Oh my god, you psycho! Get off me!
I love you, Annabelle! I'm not going anywhere till you listen to me! As Eric looked super mad and everyone stared at us, she dragged me off to a small room.
What do you think you're doing, Serafina?
Annabelle, you can't marry Eric. He's a cheater. I saw him kissing a girl the other day. I swear I'm not lying.
Think I don't know about that? Well, I do, and it doesn't matter. I stole your man, and hell take care of me. At least I got rid of you and your psycho mom, so just buzz off.
Annabelle, listen to me. You're just angry right now. I'm so sorry about everything. Mom was unbelievably cruel to you, and I should have fought harder. You deserved so much better, and you still do. Don't marry this jerk, please.
Why do you care?
Because you're my little sister, and I miss you so much. I had two things that I loved the most. My voice and you. I lost my voice for good, and I don't want to lose you too. Please forgive me and come with me.
Oh, Serafina, I'm so sorry for all the horrible things I did to you. I thought I wanted to marry Eric too, tease you. But I now realize that everything I've been doing in my life was to not end up alone. I just wanted to belong to someone.
You belong to me. You're my family. I made a promise to Dad to take care of you, and I will always. And with that, we hugged each other and walked back to our home. Family always comes first.
Hi, I'm Tina from Poland. Please like and subscribe. I was born into a super rich home. My dad owned the largest store in the country. And my two brothers were billionaires as well. My long brown hair and my blue eyes caught the attention of everyone whenever I went out with my dad.
Wow, your daughter is so beautiful.
People would shower me with all sorts of gifts. I loved it a lot. I mean, who wouldn't? I would always want to go out with Dad. But he wouldn't let me, and he had his reasons. I was the only girl in the family. My mom left when I was a baby. When she left, Dad said I became really sick. I was taken to the best hospital in the country. They did all they could, but I didn't get any better. I spent a year in the hospital, and eventually I got better.
I'm so glad you're fine now, sweetheart.
Since then, my dad and brothers walked on eggshells around me, and they spoiled me silly. They bought me the most expensive gifts. My dad even got me the most expensive necklace in the world. I love them, but sometimes they do too much. The only person who treated me like a normal kid was Jerry, our next-door neighbor. Jerry and I were inseparable growing up, and we had the best time together. When people made fun of my long brown hair, Jerry always defended me. We would play silly pranks on my brothers, and laugh as the pranks played out. That all changed when Jerry's parents decided to move to another country. Jerry's mom got a sweet fashion deal in Paris, and they had to move. I was devastated. I wanted to sneak Jerry into my room so that we could start living together. But my brothers found out, Jerry left, and I was all alone. It took me a while to make friends in high school, even though I was the prettiest girl in school. I had gotten so used to Jerry that I couldn't just flow with any other person. One day I was on YouTube watching Luna videos. When I stumbled upon a channel, it was Jerry's. He'd gotten so big and handsome. He was a popular chef in Paris with over 10 million subscribers. I stayed up all night watching his videos. I wanted to drop a comment, but I didn't know what to type. I was scared that he wouldn't remember me anymore. Meanwhile, I'd gotten into a nationwide beauty pageant, and I was one of the favorites to win. That was all my dad talked about.
You need to win the pageant, sweetie, whatever it takes.
I would always feel the pressure choking me when I went to school. Diane, the only person I was able to bond with at school, noticed and tried to take the pressure off.
Let's go to your favorite restaurant. I'm sure you'll feel better after.
We went to the restaurant and she got me my favorite meal. I smiled as the waiter placed the food on the table. And just as I munched on the delicious meal, the cutest guy walked in. Every lady in the restaurant stared and was in awe as he sat by the window. He looked at me and with a gorgeous smile he winked. My face turned red and my heart raced as he winked. I quickly looked away and focused on my meal. Just as we were about to leave the restaurant, I slipped, and I was sure that I would fall. But the cute guy caught me.
You should watch where you're going. I should be the one falling, not you.
Why would you fall?
I would fall for you, of course.
I giggled in excitement as my face turned red. I looked at Diane, who was already dancing in the corner.
I'm Brian. How have I not seen such a beautiful creature like you around here before?
You didn't look closely enough. I'll see you around.
I grabbed Diane and we rushed out of the restaurant. Since then, I met Brian every time I went to the restaurant. He would come over to me and we would start talking. Turns out he was pretty funny and smart. I became so fond of him and we spent even more time together. Date one night, and when we returned, he walked me to the front door and planted a kiss on my lips. I was so excited because I had wished that Brian would be my first kiss. I began to really like him. And it turns out I wasn't the only one. My brothers and even my dad loved him.
He is the son of the wealthiest man in the country. We need the connection, honey.
He helped me with my preparation for the beauty pageant. And with time, we became a power couple in school. Apparently, Joy, the biggest bully in school, was also a contestant in the beauty pageant and was obsessing over Brian.
I wonder what he sees in you.
Things he doesn't see in you, apparently.
She did everything in her power to stop me from dating him, but she failed miserably. Her face would turn red when she saw us together after her failed attempts. It was so hilarious. I got to school one day and I got the biggest shock of my life. Jerry, my runaway neighbor, was sitting right next to my seat in class.
Jerry, what are you doing here?
I ran to meet him and he met me halfway. He lifted me up and hugged me tight. Wow, he even looked way cuter than in the videos. Brian saw us and he quickly moved to hold my hand.
Who is he?
Oh, this is Jerry. We were close friends when we were much younger, but he's a huge star now.
Huge star? How come I've never heard of him?
Don't mind Tina here, I'm just a chef.
What are you doing here, though?
Oh, I moved back here. My mom wants to spend more time here, and I miss this place as well.
I was so excited that I hugged him again. Brian pulled me back and placed his arm on my shoulder.
It's good to see you, Jerry.
I waved at Jerry as I walked out of the class with Brian. The wonderful memories I shared with him growing up rushed back to me as he smiled at me. He came to my place after school and we spoke for a long time. He told me all about Paris, how he learned to cook, and how he became a teenage sensation overnight.
My mom helped me with everything, and that's why I love her so much.
I'm really happy for you, Jerry, and I'm glad you're back.
Just as Jerry was about to leave, Brian walked in.
Oh, Jerry's here.
I was on my way already. Let me leave you two alone. Good night.
Jerry sounded so cool and mature, and he was dressed well too. Brian and I spent time together, but all I could think about was Jerry. I started spending more and more time with Jerry, and I began to realize just how funny and smart he was. Whenever his brown eyes stared at me, my heart would melt, and I could feel the butterflies in my stomach dancing. I was falling for him, and honestly, I loved it. Brian, on the other hand, had been buying me nice gifts since Jerry came back. He even got me a very expensive car, which I really loved. One time I was walking with Diane, and all of a sudden I tripped, and as I was about to fall, Jerry, out of nowhere, caught me. He held me in his arms for a while, and I just stared into his gorgeous eyes. He reached out to kiss me, but Brian walked up to us that moment.
What's going on here?
I pushed Jerry aside and ran away. I was so confused I didn't know what to do. The day of the beauty pageant grew closer and I began to panic.
Don't be a baby. We've practiced and I've helped you a lot. I'm sure you'll be fine.
He sounded so much like a jerk, but he was right. We had practiced so much and I could feel the confidence building inside of me that all crumbled when Joy the witch accused me of stealing.
She would never do that.
Yes, she did, and I have the proof. She stole my expensive necklace and hid it in her locker. I saw her when she did it.
You're such a liar. Why would I steal your cheap necklace?
Why don't we find out if I'm a liar or not? Then, open your locker.
To my biggest surprise, the necklace was placed on one of the books in my locker.
How did it get there?
My jaw dropped as the principal picked up the necklace. Everyone looked at me weird, including Brian. My dad and brothers were certain that when I was called into the principal's office that I couldn't steal. They had bought even more expensive necklaces for me. So why would I steal one?
You are hereby disqualified from the beauty pageant, and you must serve detention for a week.
I ran out of the principal's office crying. I couldn't believe it. Everyone would think I'm a thief and they wouldn't believe me anymore. Jerry walked out of the shadows and he came over to me.
Hey, I heard what happened. Are you okay?
Leave me alone.
Jerry, I know you think I'm a thief as well.
I could never think of you like that. And I know very well you are not a thief.
I'm glad you believe me because no one else in the school does, including Brian.
I don't know what to do. I started crying, and that was when Jerry moved closer to me and hugged me tightly.
Just ignore them. We'll figure something out. Trust me.
My first day in detention sucked. People looked at me differently, including the teachers. Jerry then came and made everything easier. We spent time together in detention and we got even closer. He stayed with me all the way through, and he also walked me home just to make sure I was safe. The beauty pageant was days away, and the entire country was buzzing because of it. Joy was the clear candidate to win, but there were talks about McKeely winning as well. She was my favorite. She was so pretty and kind. She had the cutest blue eyes I have ever seen. Jerry made sure I continued with my practice, even though I didn't want to.
You can still be called back in for the pageant, so you need to be ready.
On my way back from detention one day, I felt really sick. My knees became weak and I was dizzy. I fell to the ground and was rushed to the hospital. When my dad got to the hospital, he demanded that I'd be transferred to the same hospital I was admitted to when I was much younger. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. Everyone was worried sick. Brian, who had disappeared since Joy accused me of stealing, came back and stayed by my side. Jerry was there too, and they both argued from time to time about who deserved me more.
How could you abandon her when she needed you the most? You don't deserve her.
And who are you to decide that? She's my girlfriend, and there is nothing you can do about that.
The doctors ran some tests, and they found out I had a rare kidney disease and I needed a kidney transplant. Dad couldn't be the donor because he had the same disease. My brothers were on a very important business trip, and they weren't even told that I was in the hospital. Diane gave excuses and Brian ran away again. Time was running out and I needed a donor quickly.
I'll be the donor.
Jerry stepped up and he donated one of his kidneys. The surgery was successful, and weeks later I was discharged from the hospital. I got back home and continued the preparation for the beauty pageant with Jerry. Some days before the pageant, the school found out that Joy planted the necklace in my locker just to get me kicked out of the pageant. She confessed after she was caught trying to pull the same trick on Michaela. She was suspended and I was called back in for the pageant, just like Jerry had predicted. I became so nervous when I got the news. Sweat poured out of me and I felt a tightness in my chest. Jerry noticed and held my hand gently.
You'll be fine, Tina. This is what you trained for, and I am so proud of you.
He smiled at me and I hugged him tightly.
What would I do without you?
The day came and I was well prepared for it. I wore my finest gown. Dad had just gotten it for me and it looked absolutely gorgeous. My brothers hired the best stylist in the country, and she did a wonderful job. They all sat in the front row and they applauded when I stepped on stage. I nailed the many questions I was asked and felt my confidence building as the show went on. After what seems like an eternity, it was time to decide the winner. We all held hands and hoped for the best. Michaela got second place with a standing ovation, and my name was announced as the winner of the pageant. I was so happy, tears rolled down my cheeks. But out of nowhere, Brian came on stage and held my hand. I yanked his hand off and walked down to where Jerry stood. Brian ran to meet me and he grabbed me violently. Jerry intervened and punched him right in the face.
Leave her alone! You don't deserve her!
Brian ran off crying like a baby while Jerry held my hand gently and smiled at me. My heart melted and my face turned red.
You look really beautiful.
Just kiss me already.
He leaned in and gave me the warmest kiss ever. I held on to him as everyone cheered us on. It was the best night ever.
Hi, I'm Irina from Russia. Please like and subscribe. My mom gave birth to 2 identical twins, me and my sister Rita. Unfortunately, we were only a month old when my parents divorced. Mom took Rita to the city while I stayed in the village with Dad. Dad was my only friend because growing up I was super shy and preferred to read and write stories in my journal than play with other kids.
Are you sure you want to spend another Friday night alone, sweetie?
Don't worry, Dad, I'm fine. Aren't you happy I'm not going to any wild parties or dating any boys? Then one day when I was 16, I got a strange visitor.
Hi, Irina. Oh, you're all grown up now and so beautiful.
Thanks. Do I know you?
Wow. I guess your dad never mentioned me much or kept any pictures. I'm your mom.
Huh? You're joking, right? But she wasn't. Instead, Dad came over and the two of them sat down with me in the living room.
All right. I let you come over because you said you had an emergency. So what's going on?
It's Irina's sister, Rita. She's a model and makes a lot of money, but she started struggling with mental illness and suddenly quit. Now, if she doesn't complete her contract, we'll be sued for a crazy amount of money. Irina has to fill in for her. No one will know. I may have to trim her bangs a bit, though.
Wait, what? This is the emergency?
What a stupid and twisted thing to ask your daughter that you haven't seen in 16 years. Get out of my house right now.
They started arguing and I didn't know what to do, so I just slipped out of the room and tried to calm myself down. But Mom just wouldn't give up. And the next day, she made me a crazy offer.
Your father mentioned you write stories and that it's your dream to become a famous author. What if I told you I knew an agency that could publish your work and pay you a fortune?
How could I say no to something like that? After that, I convinced Dad to do the modeling contract, and finally he agreed. So I moved to the city where Mom and Rita lived in a mansion. Mom greeted me at the door and hugged me tightly. I still wasn't entirely comfortable with her, but it was nice to feel welcome.
You'll meet Rita later today. She doesn't leave her bedroom. She even has dinner there.
You mean I'll only see her if I come upstairs with you? Doesn't she ever leave the house? Mom didn't answer. She just snapped her fingers and ordered some servants to get me settled in my room. God, this place was so different from what I was used to. And I was curious to meet my mysterious sister, too. That evening, I was reading in my room when I heard a scream outside my room. I went into the hallway to find the maid covered in food. That's when I also saw Mom and Rita.
I told her I wanted pizza for dinner, not these soggy vegetables.
Of course, baby. Our mistake. But pizza's not good for you right now. We'll get you the tastiest salad ever. I'll give you a raise, all right? I can't have another servant quit because of her.
You always do this. Mom, I don't want a salad. If I don't get a pizza right now, I'll take all of your gold jewelry and give it to the neighbor's dog to chew on and then throw up.
Excuse me, but don't speak to your mom like that. And you certainly didn't need to throw food at your maid.
This is my twin sister, Mom. She has a lot of nerve for a house guest. Also, we may look identical, but her skin is way more blotchy than mine. You should tell the photographer that beforehand.
Geez, this girl was something else. I went off to bed after that, and Mom told me not to take Rita's behavior personally.
I just want her to be happy and healthy.
The next day, I arrived on set when suddenly I noticed everyone glaring at me and whispering angrily. What was going on? Hey, why is everyone here giving me dirty looks? Did I do something wrong?
Ugh, you're here? I thought you quit after you humiliated me in front of thousands of people. Also, you bullied every single person on set since you started working here, Rita. They were hoping they'd never see you again after you left.
What? I bullied everybody here? And what did I do to you? I mean, I didn't take my meds this morning, so I forgot what happened. Can you remind me?
Ugh, give me a break!
Rita had apparently done a lot of horrible things because every person around me acted like I was some kind of monster. I called Mom and told her what had happened.
You must have spoken with Vlad, Rita's coworker and ex-boyfriend. She dumped him publicly during an acceptance speech for an awards show and said some mean things. Just focus on your work, honey. He's not your problem.
I knew Mom was right, so the next day, I ignored all the death stares and kept to myself. But later that afternoon, Vlad and I had to do a photo shoot together. The photographer was about to start when suddenly she started freaking out.
I cannot work like this. Vlad, how much weight did you gain? The costume designers worked really hard and you. Ugh, forget it. I'm requesting a different model.
What? Why? We've been rehearsing this for weeks and I haven't gained any weight.
He really does look great. Maybe his suit just has to be tailored a bit. The photographer wouldn't listen, and Vlad stormed off with tears in his eyes. Vlad, don't listen to that photographer. You're in great shape. I don't get why she had to be such a jerk.
Well, she wasn't totally wrong. I have put on a little weight. I'm surprised you didn't make fun of me about it.
Have I made fun of your body in the past?
You made fun of it in front of thousands of people. During your award speech, you said you were dumping me because I didn't have abs anymore.
Wow. Well, I'd like to apologize for that. The truth is, I think you're really brave for doing a job like this. I hate having my picture taken. I mean, even though I'm a model. The point is, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I really didn't expect an apology from you. We're still broken up, but thanks for that.
After our talk, Vlad was nicer to me, which made my job a lot easier. One day, I headed to the den to watch some TV when I saw Rita sitting on the couch. What are you doing here?
What do you mean? This is my house, isn't it?
Yeah, but I thought you never came out of your room.
I don't. But my room doesn't have a TV, and I like watching Luna videos on a big screen.
You watch Luna Avatar too? They're my favorite YouTube channel. Their stories are what inspired me to become a writer.
Yeah, I don't care. You can watch with me as long as you keep your mouth shut.
I decided to take the opportunity to spend time with Rita. She obviously had some issues, and I was curious to know more about her. As we were watching videos, Rita's phone suddenly rang, and she looked annoyed.
Why is Vlad calling me?
My heart started racing as Rita answered the phone. Apparently, Vlad had called to ask her out to coffee.
He said he's glad we're getting along better lately, and that I seem happier and healthier. Did you flirt with him or something?
What? No, we're just friendly coworkers.
Listen to me. At your job, you're not Irina. You're Rita. And Rita doesn't want you talking to Vlad at all. I still love him.
You love him, and yet you dumped and publicly body-shamed him? Look, I'm not interested in your ex-boyfriend, but I'm allowed to be his friend. He's not your property, and he deserves to be around someone who doesn't mistreat him. I left before Rita could answer, and the next morning at work, I told Vlad I was sorry if I was rude to him on the phone and that I was happy to hang out.
I really don't have time for your games, Rita.
I'm not playing games, dude. Just whatever you do, don't call or text me on that number again. I got a new number. I convinced Vlad to let me buy him coffee, and as we were walking to a cafe, I saw a lady come up to us with a little girl behind her.
I'm so sorry to bother you, but my daughter is a big fan, and I wanted to say hi. She's just a little shy.
You don't have to feel shy. I'm just a normal girl at the end of the day, like you.
Did your mom buy you this pretty scarf?
Actually, I got it as a present from my agency. Do you want it? I think you'd look even better in it than I do.
No, we can't possibly accept that from you.
Rita, that scarf costs thousands of...
It's okay. Really, I want her to have it. The girl was starry-eyed, and her mom thanked me over and over.
Wow, I can't believe you just did that. You've changed a lot during your vacation, haven't you? Are you in therapy now or something?
I guess you could say that. Vlad insisted on buying me coffee instead of the other way around. And I even got some free pastries since the cashier was also a fan of Rita. I was living like royalty, pretending to be her. And my life as a model just kept getting better. I was getting huge business deals because everyone was amazed at how Rita had apparently made a comeback. But my success drove my sister totally wild.
You're just living your perfect life, aren't you? Oh no, wait. You're living my life.
The only reason I'm even here is because you sabotaged your career with your awful behavior. Rita just threw a pillow at my head and walked off. What a brat. As more time passed, I also started hanging out with Vlad, and we became really close. But I was always hesitant to tell him about my real identity. One night, he walked me home, and when we arrived in front of the house, he took my hand, and I felt my knees go weak.
I had such a lovely day with you. You seem a lot happier and healthier lately. Or maybe I'm just seeing a different side of you.
Suddenly, he leaned in to kiss me, and I found myself pulling away. Vlad, I'm sorry, but I can't kiss you.
What do you mean? I want to give us a second chance. 'Cause you're the new you.
I know. But things with me are more complicated than they look. I have to go, I'm sorry. I quickly snuck inside the house, but when I closed the door, I saw Rita leaning against the wall, and she looked enraged.
I saw you two from my bedroom window. Irina, I told you to stay away from Vlad. I know we haven't grown up together, but you're still my sister, and sisters don't steal each other's boyfriends.
I'm not stealing anything from you. He tried to kiss me, and I refused. But if you still love him, you should reach out and apologize.
Do you think I haven't done that? He won't take me back, Irina. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am trying to work on myself and become a better person. Hurting Vlad was the biggest regret of my life.
I didn't know how to respond to that. And as I lay in bed, I felt torn about what to do. I did have feelings for Vlad, and Rita had been horrible to him, but I still didn't want to hurt her. So the next day at work, I told Vlad I only wanted to be friends.
But why? Is there something you're not telling me?
It's just that. Suddenly, I saw something that made me forget what I wanted to say. The director was putting an envelope next to my purse and it had my name on it. I left Vlad right away to see what it was. Excuse me, what's in this bag?
The menu for your new diet.
What do you mean I have to drop some weight?
That's ridiculous. We've given you this diet many times and you are fine. So, can you do your job and follow this diet, or are you going to go crazy and have a mental breakdown again?
I felt like the ground beneath me had collapsed. This was how the agency had treated Rita when she was here. No wonder she'd been struggling. I had to see her right away. I went home and knocked on Rita's door, but there was no answer. Then suddenly, I smelled something weird coming from underneath the floor. So I opened the door and my heart dropped. Rita's entire bedroom was covered with dirty plates, and there was food under her bed that she'd snuck in from the kitchen. At that second, Rita's bathroom door opened.
Oh my God, get out! This is a total invasion of privacy.
Rita, what is all this? The director gave me the diet menu today, and she said she's always given it to you whenever you put on weight. But now I think you have an eating disorder.
My eating disorder led to my breakdown. I thought it was a harmless diet, but they kept telling me that I was still too heavy. So I started starving myself. But I'd get hungry and stuff my face, and the pressure to look perfect got to me. And then I projected my own insecurities onto Vlad. Irina, I was never jealous of you. I just didn't want you to suffer like I did.
Oh my God, I had no idea. I am so sorry.
But it doesn't excuse my behavior. It's turned me into a monster.
I hugged Rita tight and let her cry for a while. And after that, we went straight to the agency to take care of business. But when we arrived, Mom was there, and when she saw Rita, she freaked.
What is she doing here? Irina, I came here to help you sign a contract for a new business deal. We could get into huge trouble if someone sees you two together.
Forget it, Mom. I'm not filling in for Rita anymore. I'm done. You care more about money than you do your daughter's health and well-being. This agency totally mistreated Rita and the other models. And if I stay any longer, I'll go down the same dark path she did.
Oh, Irina, don't be overly dramatic. Rita's breakdown had nothing to do with the agency.
Rita was about to answer when we heard footsteps behind us. And when we turned around, it was Vlad. I hadn't spoken to him since the other day. His eyes got huge as he stared at Rita and me.
Rita, you have a twin?
Actually, I'm not Rita. My name is Irina, and I've been secretly filling in for Rita since last month. She didn't want to continue modeling, but they were going to sue us, and she quit before her contract ended, and...
It was her you've been hanging out with this whole time.
I don't understand. So you both lied to me and the whole world about all this?
It wasn't our choice. Vlad walked away before I could finish, and I was devastated. I wanted to go after him, but I had to take care of other things first. I called Dad right away, and with his help, we filed a lawsuit against both the agency and Mom for mistreatment and fraud. Dad got custody of Rita and got her the therapy she needed, and I was still able to get my stories published. But our little switcheroo was all over the news, and Vlad was still ignoring our calls. Then one day, Vlad texted me to meet him at a cafe, but he said he didn't want to talk to Rita. That was weird. So talk to me. How come you asked me to come here but not Rita?
Because you're the one I want to be with. Irina, you're a better person than Rita is. I was hurt that you lied, but I know you had your reasons.
I'm not a better person than Rita. I just had it way easier than her. She still loves you and wants a second chance.
But she hurt me too deeply, and I don't think I can ever love her the same. You're the one I want to be with.
My heart raced as Vlad took my hands and I stared into his deep, dark eyes. Vlad, maybe someday we can be together, but right now I have to focus on myself. I've been living my sister's life for too long, and I've lost touch with who I am. Still, I've loved every moment I spent with you.
Me too. Good luck, Irina.
And with that, I left the cafe with a smile, ready to start a new chapter of my life.
Hi, I'm Michael from Chicago. Please like and subscribe. I was born to the kindest people you'll ever meet. My dad owned a giant tech company, and we were wealthy. But my parents were always caring and generous and taught me to be the same. When I was in the first grade, my parents took me to an amusement park for my birthday, and as we were leaving, I suddenly spotted a boy crying behind a bench. I realized it was Ethan from my class. He was a giant bully, but I couldn't just leave him there. Just, hey, Ethan, are you lost? Let me help you. My parents and I searched for his parents all over the giant park and finally found them after 2 hours. It turned out that Ethan's dad was my dad's biggest business rival. His parents didn't even thank us and just took him away. Rude. I thought after what happened, maybe Ethan and I could be friends. But the next day at school, I was walking down the hallway when he suddenly pinned me against the wall.
If you tell anyone you saw me crying, I will deal with you. Do you get me?
I won't. But how about you stop being a jerk to me?
Why? I still don't like your face.
He pulled my bag and threw it across the hall, sending my things flying everywhere as he laughed and ran away. Things never got better. He kept being a jerk, and my revenge was beating him in both studies and sports. Everyone else at school really liked me, but I always tried to be kind and helpful. Once in 8th grade, I was helping our driver wash the cars when I noticed something heartbreaking at the gate. It was a girl my age, searching the trash for food. I walked up to her, but suddenly she dashed away like a cheetah. Wait, come back, I don't want to hurt you. But she was so fast I couldn't keep up. We have lots of food in the house, even cakes. I'll get you some. She stopped immediately, then slowly walked back to me.
Cakes!
So when I told my parents about her, they immediately invited her for lunch. Her name was Veronica, and she gobbled up her food like she hadn't eaten in weeks. Veronica started coming to our house every day after that. She never talked about her family. Whenever I asked, she got moody, so I dropped it. One day we were having lunch when we heard a loud knock on the door, and seconds later, a huge man barged into the dining room.
Veronica, it's time to go home.
Hey, I don't know who you are, but it looks like she doesn't want to go with you.
I'm her father, and I don't need your charity. Stay away from my child. Veronica, we're leaving now.
She crept out and he led her away. She didn't come again. My parents and I were really upset and contacted child services to try to track Veronica down. It turned out her father was a wanted criminal. He was arrested soon after and sent to jail, while Veronica ended up with some nice foster parents, who even enrolled her in my school. Hey, I'm really sorry about your dad.
It's okay. I don't really miss him. He wasn't very nice. He often forgot to get me food and made me leave school because he was on the run.
That's awful, but it's all in the past now.
Yeah, and I wanted to stay there. I don't ever want to talk about it again.
Pinky swear we won't talk about it again. I wanted to give Veronica a present for her first day at my school. So I asked my mom to take me to the mall and picked out a beautiful red sweater for her. I waited for her at the school gate. She was late, and I was beginning to panic. What if she decided she didn't want to go to school anymore? Thankfully, she showed up.
You thought I'd change my mind, right?
Yeah, you had me a bit worried. Here, I got you something.
Oh, it's so pretty. And red's my favorite color. Thank you.
She hugged me, and I felt a million butterflies in my stomach.
Whoa, who's this babe, and why are you hugging that cockroach, babe?
I was about to tell Ethan off, but Veronica spoke up first.
I don't know who you are, jerk, but don't talk to us again. Come on, Michael, let's go.
Veronica fit in easily and was making new friends in no time. I was a little jealous that I didn't have her all to myself, but I was glad she was enjoying school.
Guess what I did today? I joined the track team.
That's awesome. I'm sure you'll beat everyone. I'm still trying to catch my breath from the first time I chased you.
The secret to slowing me down is to say, hey, I got cakes. I'll probably stop running and follow that person.
Having Veronica around was a dream come true, and I was just falling more in love with her. One day after school, I was looking for Veronica when I found her in the hallway with Ethan. Hey, is he bothering you? Ethan, just back off.
Whoa, calm down. He's part of the track team, and we're going to an event together.
That's Ethan. He's been a jerk to me since we were kids.
But he's my teammate, Michael. And actually, he's not that bad.
Come on, Veronica, we're running out of time. Get it?
Veronica laughed out loud and walked away with him. What? It was a terrible joke, but from that day on, Ethan was always around Veronica, and it burned my heart. Veronica was so good on the track that she was winning medals in no time. She became really popular and was always hanging out with the cool kids now. But one night in the 10th grade, I was studying for a test when Veronica crept through my window.
Hey, Michael, I missed you.
Really? You bailed on our plans like 100 times.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. So listen, Ethan took me out for a drive, and I completely forgot about this big math test tomorrow. Will you help me, please?
Okay, I'm studying right now, so pull up a chair.
Oh, not right now. I mean, can you help me during the test tomorrow?
You mean cheat? You know I never do that.
But I'm going to fail, Michael.
Yeah, well, that happens when you hang out with people like Ethan. Keep doing that and he'll ruin you.
If you can't help me, at least don't give me a lecture. Thanks for nothing. I'm sure Ethan will think of something.
And with that, she left. The next day, I spotted a shy girl in our class, passing cheat sheets to Veronica and Ethan during the test. That was Ethan's solution, bullying other kids to help them cheat. But just then, the teacher caught the girl and took her off to the principal. Moments later, Ethan and Veronica were called out too and then suspended for a week. I really hoped that Veronica had learned her lesson. But a week later, I found her and Ethan cornering the shy girl in the hallway.
You're supposed to be one of the smartest girls in class, so how come you're so stupid? You ratted us out to the principal. You know what we do to snitches.
And can you stop crying? You got snot on your face, and it's gross.
What the heck? Veronica was a bully. Veronica, what's wrong with you? Knock it off and leave her alone.
Mind your business, nerd.
I wasn't talking to you, jerk.
Well, you're talking to my fist now.
And then Ethan punched me. I tackled him to the ground, and we both wrestled like crazy until some teacher stopped us. For the first time ever, I landed in detention. Veronica tried to talk to me, but I just walked past her. I completely avoided her for the next few days. But then one evening, the police arrived at our house with some news about her dad. He was really sick and was being transferred to another city for treatment right away. He wanted to meet Veronica before he left. She wasn't answering my calls, so I went to her house. Her foster parents told me she was at Ethan's place for a party. Great. It was the last place I wanted to go. But I had to tell her. As I looked around for her, my heart suddenly dropped to my stomach. Veronica was in the corner with her arms around Ethan, and then she kissed him. Veronica, I need to talk to you. It's urgent.
What are you doing here, man? You're not welcome in my house.
It's not like I want to be here. Veronica, listen.
I'm going to call security.
Michael, can you please leave? I don't want you creating a scene in front of my friends.
She started walking away, and suddenly I felt a wave of rage. Is that all you care about now? I thought you'd like to know that your dad is sick, and he wants you to see him before he's shifted to another prison. The loud music suddenly died as I shouted, and everyone stared at us.
What, your dad's in prison?
You're some criminal's daughter?
Veronica burst into tears and ran out. Veronica, please stop. I'm sorry, She suddenly turned around and pushed me so hard that I fell to the ground.
It's the one thing I ever asked you, Michael. I said I never wanted to talk about my dad, and you decided to announce it?
I didn't mean to, but I had to tell you about him, and you wouldn't listen.
I think you can't stand that I have other friends, and you just wanted to ruin that. Do you think I should be eternally grateful to you and not have a life of my own because you saved me from a dumpster?
Veronica...
Just leave me alone.
The next day at school, everyone had heard about her dad, and her friends had dropped her like a dead fly. I tried sitting next to her at lunch, but she immediately walked away. But later that day, I saw Ethan and her holding hands, and she didn't look so sad anymore. I stayed away from them and tried to focus on schoolwork. Dad asked me to start coming into his office after school to learn more about our business, and I was happy to keep myself busy. Our tech company was launching new gadgets soon, and I was quite excited to be a part of it. But a few weeks later, I woke up to really loud voices downstairs. I went running and found my parents watching the news. I couldn't believe my eyes. Ethan's dad was on TV introducing a prototype of the gadget our company had been working on.
I just don't understand how our plans were leaked. My office is secure, and my home study is always locked. I just can't believe anyone working for me would betray me. This is terrible news. All our investors will be furious, and our company is going to take a huge hit.
And it did. The company suffered huge losses, and there was no way to prove the theft. I went to school a week after the whole disaster, and I couldn't bear to even look at Ethan. His dad was a crook. But later that day, I was going to sit on the bleachers when I spotted Veronica yelling at him.
How could you do this? You told me those files were about some small project Michael was working on, and you'd mess up the plans to embarrass him in front of his dad. You never said it was something that could bring his parents' company down.
Oh, okay, I lied. Boo-hoo, I didn't make you do anything. You got those files for me and then put them back, remember?
I was angry. I only wanted to humiliate Michael. You went too far, and I thought you loved me.
It's not my fault you're stupid. You really thought I loved you, daughter of a felon.
Veronica, you did this? I couldn't believe it. The girl I loved was responsible for our ruin.
Michael, please wait. He lied to me. I didn't know what he was doing. I just wanted to mess with you because I was upset. I never meant to hurt your parents.
Don't ever speak to me again. All I've done since I met you is love you, and you stabbed me in the back.
Wait, you love me?
Not anymore. Now I wish I'd never met you. The next few days at school, she didn't show up, and I didn't care. One day I was in my room when Mom came in.
Honey, we went to Veronica's foster home and they told us she ran away. I'm so sorry.
Whatever, good riddance.
Michael, that's unkind.
Mom, you still think she deserves kindness after what she did?
I'm sure she got manipulated by that boy. Remember, she had a rough past, and maybe she was just trying to fit in and be loved. I know what she did was awful, but she was a good girl, and I hope she's okay.
Mom's attitude made me feel ashamed of myself, and I soon started regretting the things I said. But I couldn't take it back because Veronica had vanished. In a shocking turn of events, an employee from Ethan's dad's company came forward with proof that the product had been stolen from us. They had to pay millions in damages, while his dad served time in prison. The family moved away and I never saw Ethan again. High school passed fast enough, and after graduating from university, I joined Dad's company and helped build it to newer heights. One day I was at a shopping mall when I caught sight of a girl who looked like Veronica. My heart was pounding as I ran after her, but by the time I got outside, she was nowhere to be seen.
Michael, is that you?
Oh my God, Veronica. I've always wondered what I'd do if I ever saw you again. I don't even know what to say, except that I'm so happy you're okay.
Michael, I thought of this meeting a million times too, and I really need to say that I'm so sorry. I was so stupid, and I knew even then that you'd never hurt me on purpose. But I ended up hurting you and your family so much. I left because I couldn't face you guys anymore. Please say you'll forgive me.
I hugged her and we sat on a bench and talked. After she ran away, she ended up in a foster home again and got adopted by some really nice people. I was so glad her life hadn't been miserable. As I loaded her groceries in her car, I spotted something in her back seat. It was the red sweater I'd given her in the 8th grade. Veronica, do you think I can call you sometime and ask you out on a date? I've wanted to since forever.
You can ask me right now, and my answer is yes.
Hi, I'm Sophia from New Hampshire. Please like and subscribe. My sister Ivy and I are twins. Dad left before we were born, so I never knew him. Mom raised us on her own, and she was just something else. When we were babies, Mom forced us to wear helmets every day, except for when we slept. We even wore helmets in the bath when she wasn't washing our hair.
Mommy needs you to wear these, so you don't bump your heads and die.
She even placed mats all over the house. When Ivy and I were learning to crawl, our home felt like a massive, soft cushion. Worst of all, Mom never allowed us to go outside, except the nearby grocery store sometimes. And she took us to the park once a year on our birthday. But it was only when the house was empty at night, and we were stuck with online homeschooling. The world is full of kidnappers, diseases, and other terrible things that can harm you girls. Neither Ivy nor I understood why Mom was so strict, but I was always getting into trouble. I would bang and kick the walls or throw and break things. I hate this house. Mommy, I want to live outside like a panda.
Pandas do not get brand new iPads.
Yay, I get to play Candy Crush. Ivy never realized that Mom only bought us fancy things to keep us distracted, so we wouldn't try to escape the house. The only enjoyable part about being indoors was when Mom played music on the radio. My favorite was the rock station. But one time, I turned up the volume so loud that it felt like the house was shaking.
Ow, my ears! I'm taking away this radio. You're lucky you didn't make us all deaf.
I hated Mom, and I was pretty sure she hated me. One day, when I was 8 years old, I woke up to Mom standing on my bed, drilling something into the wall. Mom, what are you doing?
I'm installing alarms that detect anyone trying to go out your window. This way, no kidnappers can get in, and you and Ivy can't get out either. Look, darling, I bought you a giant doll for you.
At that moment, something inside me snapped. I grabbed the giant doll and threw it hard at the window, smashing the glass. And then I jumped outside. Mom screamed. She leapt outside to catch me, but I was running like a lunatic. When I was certain I had gone far enough, I paused to catch my breath. Then I began doing a happy dance. I was free. Suddenly, I heard noise and stomping in the background. A bunch of guys with drums and guitars came marching down the street, and I was so thrilled. I never thought I'd hear music again. As they came closer, one of the guys called out to me.
Why are you hiding behind that tree, little girl?
I don't know. You might kidnap or kill me. Mom warned me about people like you.
What are you talking about? This is a music parade. Come sing with us.
Before I knew it, I was marching with the parade and singing along. It turned out I was a pretty good singer too. But all of a sudden, I saw Mom and Ivy running to me with about 10 cops. Mom took me straight to the doctor to make sure I didn't catch any diseases from being outdoors. For the next 4 years, that was the last time I ever got to be alone.
From now on, I'm never letting you or Ivy out of my sight. I'll work at home. You girls will move into my bedroom.
Ivy and I couldn't even go to the bathroom without Mom standing outside the door. But one night when I was 14, I saw Mom asleep and snuck upstairs to the attic. I needed a moment to myself. But when I got there...
Sophia, what are you doing up here?
What are you doing up here? Are you having a date?
No, duh, we're having a date. I did everything to escape all your mom's crazy alarm systems.
Wow, Ivy, I thought you were Mom's good little girl. But don't worry, I'll keep your little secret. But just then, Mom came running upstairs.
What on earth is going on here? Who on earth are you? Get out of my house this instant.
Mom, stop. You're embarrassing me.
Do you know what embarrasses me? That one of my daughters was on a cozy date with a kidnapper or a robber.
I jumped in and said, "He's neither of those things. He's my boyfriend." Mom grabbed a baseball bat in the corner as she swung it towards Ivy's date. He ran down the attic as fast as he could. That's when Mom burst into tears and started to pull her hair and yell like a toddler.
That boy in the house could have kidnapped you both. I've done everything to keep danger out of this house. But I failed. I have to send you girls to a strict boarding school with security cameras in every single room.
Good. Send us to boarding school. I'm tired of living with all your crazy rules.
But I don't want to go to boarding school. This is so unfair.
But 2 weeks later, Mom sent us away to boarding school. Ivy refused to talk to me there, and I couldn't take the tension between us. Please don't be mad at me. I even tried to keep your secret. I can't help it that Mom's a psycho.
Just leave me alone.
I grabbed Ivy's arm, but she pulled away. At that moment, Ivy tripped and fell straight to the floor. She started to cry, and tons of teachers came running. I'm sorry, it was a total accident.
I think I broke a bone.
You sound just like Mom. Just because you fell down doesn't mean you broke a bone. But it turned out Ivy broke her leg, and an ambulance took Ivy to the hospital immediately. I probably should have gone with Ivy to the hospital, but something in the hallway made me forget all about Ivy's accident. There were all these photos of famous musicians. In the center was a musician that looked just like my mom when she was a teenager, and the name under it was also Mom's.
Hey, fancy bumping into you again.
I turned around to see the guy from our attic. Aren't you my sister's boyfriend?
Nah, your sister and I just had that one disastrous date. Why were you staring at that picture?
I think this is my mom. She looks exactly like her and has the same name, Jen Zelda.
No, that's Jen Zelda, a teen rock star, but she stopped making music a long time ago. That psycho lady who tried to hit me with a bat is definitely not her.
It's not funny. You don't know what it's like to live with a crazy mom who hates you and spoils you at the same time.
Why do you think I'm in boarding school? My parents sent me here because they don't want me around.
Wow, I'm glad someone else's parents hate them too. I mean, not glad. You know what I mean? Listen, I need your help. I know it's impossible, but I need to find out if that girl in the photo is my mom. Nolan and I spent days researching Jen Zelda, but we couldn't find a picture of her that wasn't old. And no matter what, we couldn't find a reason why she quit her career. And Mom was nowhere on the internet. She was always worried about creeps and kidnappers finding out where she lived.
I don't get it. Just ask your mom about it.
She wouldn't tell me anything. She's crazy. She doesn't even let me listen to music, even though I love singing.
You like singing? Me too!
Before I could answer, I heard a noise behind me. I turned around to see Ivy in a wheelchair.
Sophia, where have you been? You never visited me in the hospital.
Ivy, I'm so sorry. I meant to visit you, but I found something crazy about Mom.
Wait, what's Nolan doing here?
I meant to tell you I transferred here and that your sister and I like each other.
Wait, what?
What do you mean like each other? You never visited me because you were hitting on a guy I dated. Sophia.
What? No, that's not it at all. Get off me. Nolan. Ivy could barely walk, but she limped away as fast as she could. I went after her to apologize, but her door was locked and Nolan followed me around all week.
Come on, I really like you. Ivy will get over it.
I wanted Nolan to leave me alone, even though he was cute and interesting. But when we both auditioned for the school band and got in, it was impossible to avoid him. I really wished Ivy would talk to me so I could tell her what I discovered about Mom. But she just wouldn't, and it was all I could think about. Could it really be that Mom had just been a completely different person before? And what happened to her? 2 weeks later, the day of our show arrived, and just as I stepped onto stage to perform, I froze in my spot. Mom was in the audience. Suddenly, I couldn't remember any of the lyrics to my song. I stood there completely blank as the band played on.
Get on with the song, you freak!
Boo, a loser!
All of a sudden, all the kids started throwing. I wanted to disappear, but then I had an idea. Hey, who wants to hear a former rock star sing? I want to welcome Jen Zelda to the stage. I wanted to see how Mom would react.
Jen Zelda isn't here! Idiot! Her career ended 30 years ago.
Everyone continued booing and throwing things at me. That's when Mom walked on stage and grabbed my microphone.
I knew this school wasn't strict enough.
Hey, it is Jen Zelda.
Mom, is it true you were a rock star?
Never mind that. They let students be in a band. Bands go out at night with gang members and crazy people.
Mom, just sing with me!
Oh no. I know everything you girls have been up to. I downloaded apps on your phones that let me read your messages. This school is stupid and unsafe. And I came here tonight to take you both home.
Mom grabbed my arm and tried to drag me off stage. Kids were laughing like crazy.
It'll be fun. I bought a horse for you and Ivy. I'll go bring him.
What are we going to do with a horse? Why can't you just act normal for once and just sing with me?
Haha, who knew Jen Zelda was a psycho?
I had never felt more humiliated. Before I knew it, I screamed, "Security!" My yell made my mic screech across the auditorium, and to my shock, security guards came running on stage to take my mom away. She cried and kicked her legs in the air.
I need to take them home. I even brought them their own horse.
I felt awful seeing the security guards take Mom away. But she was acting crazier than ever. I thought I'd call her the next morning to see how she was. But just then, Ivy came to my room and said the principal wanted to see us. Ivy and I walked into his office to find him sitting with another man.
Girls, you won't be seeing your mother for a while. She's in the hospital.
In the hospital? Is she hurt?
After what we saw on stage, we did an investigation. Your mother has a condition.
A condition?
It's called schizophrenia. Her brain works a little differently. She worries about things that other people don't worry about.
But she was a singer, wasn't she?
She was an incredible musician. Her condition is why she had to stop. But don't worry, girls. Your mother is in the hospital getting help, and you'll be able to see her soon.
Ivy and I were totally silent, walking out of the principal's office. For the first time in my life, Mom's weirdness sort of made sense. I wonder if that's why Dad left Mom. Because of her condition.
Dad should have taken care of her and inspired her to sing again.
A few weeks later, Ivy and I visit Mom in her treatment center. She was so happy to see us.
I'm so sorry about everything that's happened. And Sophia, I'm so proud of your talent. Music runs in our blood, honey.
In a couple of months, Mom was out of treatment and back home. It took a while for Mom to let go of her crazy rules. She never became completely normal, but she was so much happier. She told Ivy and me all about her life as a rock star. It turned out she and I were more alike than I ever thought.
Jen Zelda really is your mom. And even though she's a little different, she gave you a killer singing voice. You're really going places, Sophia.
Nolan and I ended up dating all throughout high school. At the end of my senior year, we got a job at a production company. We had the opportunity that year to perform in a world tour. One day, I came into work with a present I'd bought to surprise Nolan.
You bought me a baby, babe? Is this your way of telling me I drool?
No, it's my way of telling you I'm pregnant. I know we only finished high school, but I love you, and I want to start a family with you.
What do you mean you're pregnant? We're going on a world tour. It's even in the contract. Don't get pregnant.
I thought you'd be happy.
Happy that you'd want to throw all our dreams away? Happy that we have to pay thousands of dollars to this company?
Maybe this is a sign we shouldn't go on this tour. Then we can raise our baby without anything holding us back.
I love you, and I don't want anything to hold us back. But I'm not ready to be a dad, Sophia. And I'm not going to raise this kid with you.
Nolan, are you leaving me?
I'm sorry.
My life only consisted of two things the next 9 months: pregnancy and debt from all the money I owed the company. I even had to move back in with Mom temporarily.
Don't worry about anything, sweetie. You can raise the baby right here.
Thanks, Mom. Just as long as you don't make him wear a helmet. Ivy and Mom were right next to me in the hospital when I gave birth to my perfect baby boy, Miles. Suddenly, I heard a voice behind me.
Is it cool if I hold him?
Nolan, what are you doing here?
I came to meet the mother of my son and to tell her that I made the biggest mistake of my life leaving her. I know you're not going to forgive me, but I want you to know that I've paid off all the debt to the music studio. I love you, Sophia. And I love our son, too. I always will.
So come back here and hold him then. Miles wants to meet his dad.
You can tell him I'm not going anywhere.
Hi, cuties! I'm Emma. Get ready to dive into the wild drama of my life, a real-life soap opera that even Shakespeare would have loved to write. But first, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Now we can start. You know those seemingly perfect families where the father is a cheerful, wealthy businessman and the mother is a loving housewife who does everything for her kids? Blonde, rosy-cheeked, perfect-teeth children? Yeah, me neither. Ever since I can remember in my life, it was only me and my mom, Emily. My mom loved me, but when it came to my dad, she went to great lengths to erase any trace of him, and she did a darn good job. Mom, I was wondering about my dad. What, Dad? Here, have a bag of candies. It was always like that with Mom. Have a bag of that. Or keep this stock of chocolates. Or, look, that marshmallow looks like Grandma Teresa. So instead of finding out anything about him, I just put on a lot of weight. Eventually, I stopped asking. Even my mom sensed that something was wrong with me. While the neighborhood kids played outside, I spent all my time cooped up in my room, reading books by myself. At some point, she must have thought that I needed a father figure, which was true, and decided to get one for me. Unfortunately, her dating life was so disastrous that it probably made Cupid consider early retirement for real. It was the same thing over and over again. It went like this. Emma, please let me introduce you to insert name my new boyfriend. We love each other so much. Of course. 2 weeks later, there we were, indulging in a second bowl of ice cream and watching Titanic with her sobbing uncontrollably on my shoulder. Jack, take me with you. We were supposed to stay together forever. Mom, you met him like a month ago. The best month of my life. But honestly, my mom had a PhD in ruining her relationships. All her boyfriends had shorter lifespans than a goldfish's memory. She would get bored of them and then find a way to sabotage the relationship. Magically, it was always their fault. Antonio, the chef, seemed like the perfect candidate. After all, who wouldn't want a dad who could cook 5-star meals? But then, can you believe it? He abandoned me all night to dine at a restaurant alone, preferring puff pastry over spending time with me. Mom, he works there. Then there was Markin. I thought a cop would keep us safe, right? But I was expecting a rose or a diamond. Instead, he gifted me a police scanner. And then there was Philip. I always dreamt of a dad who could always make us laugh. But he couldn't stay serious for 10 minutes straight. Well, today he's the world's most famous comedian. I was already giving up on the idea of having a stepfather when my mom came home one day with a new surprise. This time, though, I felt something was different, and I was right. Here, love, this is Ben. Benjamin, this is my daughter, Emma.
What a lovely fairy I see. Am I welcome into your manor, my fair maiden?
That man was not like the others. Ben looked older, with such a fine white beard and mustache, and those small round spectacles that made him look like some woodsman from old stories. In my mind, a dad had always been similar to him in appearance. Surprisingly, Ben actually became a father to me, and he really knew how to show me his love. Like that time when I got an A in mathematics, and Ben recited a poem he had written for me.
Here is the smartest of my muses, the shiniest of my lights. A new Pythagoras in disguise.
Nobody had ever appreciated me so much. Or that time, December 16th, when I came back home after a full day at school, only to find the hall full of bearded guys and Ben, in the middle of them, shouting toward me, "Surprise!"
Happy birthday to our fairy.
Those were Ben's friends from the War Games Club. I didn't expect any birthday celebration, because Mom had always forgotten it herself. But now she was there too, right in the middle of them. Could Ben have changed her so much? Ben, I have no words.
It's only my duty to make you smile, my fair maiden.
I hugged him the strongest I could and started crying like a baby. Sir Benjamin, I love you. I had finally found a father after 10 years of my life, and we were like a real happy family. It felt like a dream, and like in every dream, at a certain point, I had to wake up. A few years later, Mom started receiving strange phone calls in the middle of the night. She would pick up quietly like a thief and go to the bathroom to speak as any guilty teenager would. Once I caught her coming out of the bathroom with a suspicious smile on her face. Who was it? Oh, just some friend. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I make a living out of worrying. I knew something was wrong. The calls suddenly stopped, but the signs were still there. Why would Mom be sending herself those goofy bouquet cards decorated with plastic roses? Can't I buy nice things for myself? Not to mention the gold-sprayed aluminum bracelet I found she was wearing out of the blue, after a life of hating bracelets and necklaces. It's just part of my midlife crisis. Or the giant heart-shaped balloon we suddenly had in the main hall, glittery as a disco ball, and red as love, or hell. Wrong address. Or maybe the wind brought it here. Yeah, like I'm that dumb. Then one morning, I was sick at home, searching in my mom's bedroom for her laptop, ready to consume my eyes in yet another Harry Potter marathon. Where is it? Axio laptop. What is this? There was a letter on my mom's nightstand. Strange. I haven't seen the postman in a while.
My love, I'm like a lost sock just looking for its match.
Ew, so cheesy. When Mom got back home that night, I confronted her. How could you do this, Mom? Emma, I can explain. Ben is the only dad I have ever had, and you're betraying him. If you would only let me talk. Please. I don't want to listen to you anymore, Mom. I'm tired of you and your... Editor won't let me say the next word. But you can imagine what I mean. I wasn't going to let her ruin our relationship with Ben. I had to act fast. So the next day, I went to confront that homewrecker, getting his address from the letter. I rang the doorbell nonstop. Open up!
What the?
The man was about to blow up. But when he saw me, surprise filled his eyes.
Please come in.
That mysterious man looked like a retired rock star, or an extra from Pirates of the Caribbean. He invited me inside his great villa, which was full of instruments. Look, whoever you are, my mom's with someone else. Just leave us alone. Don't mess up our lives. I've barely found my dad, and you.
What if I told you I'm your real dad?
His words hit me like a mute button.
I was eager to meet you again, but your mom thought you weren't ready.
Of course, he could have been lying, but somehow I knew he wasn't. My father disappeared when I was a child.
Emma, I'm really sorry things got messed up between your mom and me back then, but I'm here now, and I want to be part of your life.
I was left completely speechless. My mom soon joined us. Mom looked truly happy after all those years. She told me she hadn't connected with anyone else because she wasn't over Dad and only wished for him to stay with us. Of course, I was thrilled about having my real dad with me again. But then a sudden doubt fell upon me like a spaceship out of fuel. But Ben! He already knows everything, and he still wants to be a part of your life. We can be a big family. So just like that, I went from having no dad to having two. You would think it's like winning the lottery twice, but not quite. I felt overwhelmed and with a great weight on me. Before, I didn't have to worry about disappointing anyone. But now I had two dads who had high expectations of me, and let's say they weren't too fond of each other.
Chris, lower the volume. Emma's studying.
Oh, just jamming out, man. Rockstar practice, you know.
Oh, wow. But I thought rock and roll had been dead for a long time.
Good music never dies. Besides, aren't you obsessed with knights and things from hundreds of years ago?
Oh, absolutely. But unlike your music, knights never go out of style.
Come on, guys. If you really think about it, rock stars and knights have a lot in common, like both loved leather and dying young. But while some wore armor and swords, the others used guitars and a lot of hairspray. That made a lot more sense in my head. Soon things went even further south. One day, they forgot to pick me up, and I had to walk home in the middle of a storm. When Ben saw me, he went mental.
Chris, you were supposed to pick her up. I asked you to do one thing as I had an urgent appointment.
Oops, I totally lost track of time making these cookies to surprise her. Come try one, honey.
As I reached for a cookie, Ben sprang into action like a movie hero, dove over the couch in slow motion, snagged it from my hand, and sent the whole tray flying.
These have peanuts. Emma's your own daughter, and you don't even know she's allergic to peanuts? Or you just don't care?
I don't even want to remember the fight that followed. Can you imagine two gunslingers in front of each other, ready to open fire at the slightest movement? Well, it was kind of like that. The constant fighting became a part of my life. I realized that this was affecting them as well. Ben looked more deteriorated and tired than ever, and my dad seemed constantly anxious, as if he was hiding a big secret. On my first Christmas with my new family, they dove into a full gift duel. The prize of it wasn't a juicy bounty, but my love.
Dear, I got you Ozzy, your new puppy.
Are you serious? I got her Lady Godiva, the most majestic kitten in town.
Oh, thank you guys. I love them both so much. Of course, getting double presents was quite fun. But soon, my new pets were casualties of the parents' war. Lady Godiva was given away to our neighbor's children by my dad after he definitely saw me sneezing with her nearby. It was mid-December, by the way. A few days later, someone shaved Ozzy completely, making him a pink bear with a black nose.
Oh, that's horrible.
Nobody ever found the mysterious culprit. Then it came. December 16th, my birthday again. My dad must have known what Ben did on my last birthday and decided it was a good idea to outdo him at his own game. So he called all of his musician friends to blast a birthday party rock serenade for me.
To my beloved daughter, you, all the people of the world, rock. This song is for you.
But then, right before the concert started, another group of people appeared. Vikings, Romans, Celts. Who knows? They were an army of guys dressed for a historic recreation, waving toy spears.
What is all this, Ben?
There is a time for peace and a time for war, Chris. Men, be ready.
Someone sounded a war horn, and my birthday soon became like the final battle of Endgame. But instead of aliens and superheroes fighting, I had cosplaying history nerds versus elderly musicians incapable of accepting the passage of time. A clash for the century. After watching the battle for a bit, I went home, all set to blow out the candles and dive into the cake. But I found my so-called perfect family in the middle of a loud argument.
What are you even doing here, man? Emma's with her real parents. She doesn't need you anymore. This whole uncle situation is bizarre.
That's true. Explaining it to people is a real pickle.
Say what you want, but I've been her father longer than you.
Well, he has a point about that.
Her father? A history nerd with a Willy Wonka mustache? You must be joking.
I don't think Willy Wonka has a mustache. My mother's mediation skills are truly out of this world.
Why don't we let her decide then?
Oh, no!
Yeah, she's old enough to decide who should be your dad.
No, I am not. Mom, you are my last hope. Please stop this madness. Maybe that's for the best. Thanks for nothing, Mom. So that's how it is? You're piling your responsibilities onto me. Why can't you guys understand? I want both of you in my life. But if you can't handle that, I'd rather have neither than choose between you two. I was ready to storm out, but then my dad said something really strange.
Are you happy, Ben? This was your master plan. First you found me. Then you invited me to your cosplay parties and made me realize that I should get back with Emily. Why did you do all that if you didn't want me here?
Everybody's eyes went on Ben at those words. Mine too. What was all that about?
You're absolutely right, Chris. I shouldn't be here at all. I'm really sorry, Emma.
Then Ben darted away, leaving things abruptly. What the hell is going on? I ran after Ben just in time to catch him while he was already at the park, gasping. He doesn't look too good. He fainted the very next moment. Ben! What is going on? Are you okay? Ben? We rushed him to the hospital, and a few hours later, he woke up.
I guess my plan didn't run as smoothly as it did in my mind.
Why did you do all this, Ben?
My heart is breaking, Emma. Literally, the only thing keeping it together is you. I would love to be with you forever, but the doctors made it clear it's impossible. When I found out, I immediately sought your dad and asked him to come back. I wanted someone to be there for you after me, but then when I saw you and him together, I got so jealous. I thought you'd forget me for good.
I already had tears in my eyes again. I could barely force myself to speak. Ben! I will never forget you. And you are not leaving me at all. I had no idea you did all this. Chris didn't tell me anything.
Yes, because I asked him not to. It was a secret quest, eh? Like the ancient knights did. I did it for Emily. I had to. I'm sorry for lying, but...
Cough made it impossible for Ben to go on talking. I just hugged him so hard, as if trying to protect him. A few days later, Ben came back home with us, and it was as if he and Dad were two totally different persons. They put their jealousies and fights aside and became something like best friends. Dad even helped and cared for Ben throughout his illness. One night, when they thought Mom and I were sleeping, I overheard them talk.
I will never be able to thank you enough for bringing me back to my family. What you did is just...
It's okay, Chris. You're a great man. I'm just happy you are in Emma's life. You both deserve each other.
They hugged before wishing each other good night. I went to sleep with the biggest smile I had ever worn in my entire life. Now a lot of time has passed, and a lot of things have changed. I'm not a child anymore, and my groom is in front of me, waiting for my, yes, I do. Mom and Dad are by my side, happily together and smiling at me. And even if I can't see you in the same way, Ben, I know you are here too, sitting silently between the seats of this splendid church and looking at me with your peaceful gray eyes. You are as real as the photo of you I have inside of the pearl-shaped necklace I always keep by my heart, as I have promised you. I never forgot you, Ben. All that you did for me, from your silly poems to the way you tied my shoes. You will always live with me. You'll always be my guardian angel. And I am your fair maiden,